Okay, so we're now going to look at rotation. Like I said, the main key ideas are we want to center of rotation, we want to know the angle that we're rotating by, and whether it's clockwise or anti-clockwise. So first example here, we're going to rotate this rectangle 90 degrees clockwise about a point that's given to us. So we've got all of the information we need. The first thing you want to do is get your tracing paper to use. Now there is a way to do this using vectors, but it's best to just stick with tracing paper, which will be provided to you in exams if you need it. And what you want to do is put your tracing paper on top of the shape, and you want to draw a cross where your center of rotation is. Now it's important for you to have a pencil, obviously, to draw your shape out on the tracing paper, but also it should be quite sharp so that you can then put your pencil on top of that point there, and then you just very gently, not pressing too hard on the paper, just really sketch out the rectangle on there. Then you keep your pencil held down on the point here as you rotate your sheet, so your sheet should be able to, tracing paper should be able to rotate just like this. Now in terms of what you need to do now is just to simply rotate it. We're going to go clockwise, and 90 degrees is a right angle, so this edge of the tracing paper should be facing, go from being vertical to horizontal. So you can see if I move it along here, that is where I'm going to stop, and you've got our rotated shape. I can even animate it for you in case, to make it easier, and then you stop there. Now in terms of knowing when to stop, it's a bit of kind of just being able to recognize it with a bit of practice. You shouldn't find it too tricky. Now if you were asked to rotate this 180 degrees, we would have continued our rotation, and you can see we end up down there. If I were asked to rotate this 270 degrees clockwise, I would have ended up there, and 360 degrees means I would have ended up back to where I started. Now there's a few special cases here. If you rotate 180 degrees clockwise, you will get the same answer as if you rotated 180 degrees anti-clockwise. So therefore, if you're ever told to rotate a shape 180 degrees, you shouldn't worry if you're being told clockwise or anti-clockwise, because you'll get the same answer. It's a special case. The other thing is, there's two ways to describe a lot of these transformations. So for example, a 90 degrees clockwise rotation, which is what we have been asked to do, turns out to be the same as a 270 degree anti-clockwise rotation. So both answers would be completely correct, unless you're given some specific information which tells you how you should be rotating the shape. So once you have rotated your shape, you just draw your shape on the paper. So lift up your tracing paper, keep your pencil on that point as you lift up, maybe just a flap on the side, and then you just sketch your shape out, and then you can put the tracing paper, lift it up and check it over, and then once you've got your shape drawn on there, you can lift up your tracing paper and you've got your answer. Okay, so we'll try some more examples. So remember the three main things we want: center of rotation, the angle of rotation, and clockwise or anti-clockwise. So here's your next question. Rotate the shape 180 degrees about the point. Now if you're practicing this at home, just sketch this out on a square paper and have a go with tracing paper, or any type of paper that's almost transparent is useful as well. So in this case, first thing you want to do is, on the tracing paper, draw your shape out. Now in your head, I want you to say stop when you think I should stop rotating the paper, because I'm now going to rotate it 180 degrees. Notice it doesn't tell me clockwise or anti-clockwise, because we're going to get the same answer. It doesn't matter which way I go, but you need to tell me, or you need to say in your head, when should I be stopping? hopefully you notice that this is where I turned 180 degrees, and then that is my rotated shape. So in this case I decided to go clockwise, but if I went anti-clockwise I would get the same answer. Okay, next example. This time we're rotating a shape 270 degrees anti-clockwise about the point with coordinates 5, 7. So you've got a lot of information here, but it's all very simple information. First thing you want to do is find the point 5, 7. So you go 5 across, 7 up, and you can see we're going to go draw the shape with the tracing paper, and then you can see we're going to go anti-clockwise, which means we're going to go this way. This is 90. This is 180. And then I need to go another 90 more to get to 270. And it just about fits on the grid. And that's your answer for a 270 degree anti-clockwise rotation. So make sure to keep your point on the center of rotation as you rotate your tracing paper. Okay, example 4. Rotate the shape 90 degrees anti-clockwise about the point with coordinates 2, 3. So 2 along, 3 up. We're going to draw the shape on the tracing paper. Put your pencil tip on the center of rotation, and then we're going to 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So this is clockwise, anti-clockwise is the other way. So once your shape is rotated, you can see in this case it actually overlaps the triangle part of it and do the rotation, and then we can just sketch this out on underneath the tracing paper onto your answer. So it's quite difficult to show some working out when you're using tracing paper, but there isn't really much to show if you're using that method. So the next example here, rotating the shape 270 degrees anti-clockwise about the point with coordinates -3, 2. So first of all, draw your point of reflection -3, 2. So what I've noticed is this is on the shape itself. So I've mentioned invariant points at various points, pun intended, in previous videos. This is actually going to be an invariant point, because if I'm rotating my shape on that point here, well, that point doesn't change because my pencil is going to stay on top of that point in the on the shape. So I'm now going to rotate it anti-clockwise 270 degrees. Now if you wanted to be smart about it, you could also just rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. You're going to get the same answer. But I'm going to do it just the way that it's asking you to do it. So 270 degrees anti-clockwise. So that's 90, 180, 270. So again, if I just go back to where I was, if I had just done 90 degrees clockwise, that would have also been the same. With what would have felt like less effort, I don't know, maybe for you guys it would be the same, but so in this case you've got your shape. So once you have that, keep your pencil on that point, lift up the tracing paper, just the flap, and then draw your the rest of your shape on there, and you've got your answer. Okay, this is question 6. Now this time around you are going to work out the information from a diagram given. So it says describe the single transformation. Now obviously we're practicing rotation, so it's going to be a rotation. We can see that. It's not a translation because you can see the orientation is different. It's not an enlargement, it's not bigger or smaller, and it's not a reflection because a mirror line wouldn't give you something like this. So there is no trick to this, or there's no method other than trial and error. So what I suggest you do, and I can't really show this on the screen here, is put your tracing paper on your diagram, put your pencil on a point where you can see the grid, so all the vertices on the grid, and then spin your tracing paper on that point. So in this case, we want to go from A to B. So you should, first thing I suggest you do is put your tracing paper, just sketch this shape out on your tracing paper. So trace that shape A, and then put your pencil point, for example, here, and then rotate the tracing paper, see if it goes on to B. If it doesn't, then maybe try here, try here. Now there's a bit of, again, common sense that it would be silly to try something up there. You know that's not going to be the point of rotation. And then once you've tried your rotations, you should get a solution. Now I'm going to actually show you the solution in a second, but I won't be able to demonstrate this on the screen here. So if you have tried it and you found it, great, you can continue the video. Otherwise, pause it and have a go. What you will find is it's actually quite tricky to find the center of rotation just by kind of guessing or intuition, even with practice. So you just have a bit of trial and error, common sense areas, and you should have, so I'm going to show you your answer. This is your center of rotation. Now what's important, when you are describing the transformation, just like before, you need to have 3 different things to mention. First of all, you need to obviously say it's a rotation. The first thing you mention is the angle. The second thing is clockwise or anti-clockwise. And then the third thing is the center of rotation. And that's where your pencil point would have been. So in this case, you can see if I put my tracing paper here, and you should hopefully have figured out that your point is 8, 3, and you can see this is the rotation I can do to get to B. You may have, and probably did, try lots of different points around here, and maybe you were lucky you just got it straight away. Now there's 2 potential answers here actually. You could go clockwise 90 degrees, about 8, 3, or you can go anti-clockwise 270 degrees, about 8, 3. That rotation point doesn't change, but whether you go clockwise or anti-clockwise will change your answer. So your solution, and the typical solution, will be rotation by 90 degrees clockwise about the point with coordinates 8, 3. The other answer would be 100% correct as well. It's important you have all 3 things listed. So in summary, you need to use a bit of trial and error when you are finding the center of rotation. So those are the main points about rotations that you need to know, and the next video is going to be optional practice, going through more practice questions, but the key information is all the stuff that I've mentioned for the first 6 examples. Hit subscribe, smash the like button. I'll see you in the next video.